Hello class, welcome to lab number 4. Lab number 4 is navigating the file system. We're gonna be using the cd, pwd, and ls command, as well as two beautiful replacements for the ls command that are very good to know that they exist, although using ls is more than sufficient. Now, the presentation for this lab can be found on this link over here. The video for this lab can be found over here. Now, to move around the file system, we use three commands, and this is canonical to remember. Pwd to know where you are, cd to move from one folder to the other, and then ls from listing the files that are inside a given folder. So to take a look at what's inside the box. Now, we are going to be using in the first part of question 1, the pwd and the cd command with absolute path only. So we're gonna write the whole path for everywhere that we go. Now, let's start a terminal. So how do we start a terminal? Well, you can either click on Applications, System Tools, and then open a terminal. Or you can just press Ctrl, Alt, and T on your keyboard. I'm going to be using Tilix in this video because I like this terminal a lot, and because of other features that I'll show you as we move along in the in the lab. So before we start the lab, it would be a good idea for us to create our workspace. So I'm going to go in Home. I'm going to open my repository. I'm going to click on labs, and then I'm going to create a new folder for lab number 4. We call this lab 4, enter. So in here we have all the files where we are going to be working with lab number 4. So I'm going to close that, and yeah, I can close this as well. And then over here we can get to work. Now, start a terminal. Well, we already did. What is your present working directory? Well, the pwd command, let me make this a little bigger, will tell us that. So, and as a matter of fact, I'm just going to put this on the corner over here. So we're going to do pwd, and notice that it returns the location of where we're currently at in the terminal. So home and my username will put us, and for that I want to open this in a new tab, right? Because I want to use this image over here, and I want you to use this image as a visual aid. This means that this is where I'm currently at right now. I open a terminal, and by default I am in my home directory. Remember our analogy. Our home directory is our house. This is where we are king. This is when we can do whatever we want. Anywhere else in the file system we have limited access to. But our home directory, we can do whatever we want there. So let's continue. So change your present working directory to the user share themes. Okie dokie. So to change directories, we type the cd command. And as an argument, we're going to provide where we're going. It's just how you get into an Uber and you tell it where you go. So we start with the root and then user. Notice how I type one letter and then I press the tab key to autocomplete. Share and then themes. Great. Press enter and notice where we are now. We are in user share themes. What is your present working directory now? Well, if I type pwd, it will return where I'm currently at. Change your present change your pwd to the root of the file system. So let's go back to our little illustration over here. Notice that this is where everything comes from, right? That's the top, right? That is the root of the file system, and it's represented by a backslash. So we're gonna type cd and then root. Press enter, and where are we now? We are in the root of the file system. Now, change your present working directory to a snap Firefox. So we're gonna do cd snap and then Firefox. Press enter. Take a screenshot of your terminal showing all the commands that you use to answer 1 to 5. This is when we click on Flameshot. If Flameshot is not over here, make sure that you go in Applications, Graphics, and then click on Flameshot. Take a screenshot, and we're going to highlight the area of the terminal that has the commands that we just ran. We're going to save this, and we're going to call this q1.png. Make sure you save this in its proper folder. So we're going to go back to our repository, click on Labs, Lab 4, and then click on Save, q1.png. Then we're going to do question number 2. Well, question 1, part 2. We are going to use pwd and cd, but with relative path this time. So we're not going to start from the root, we're going to start from our current working directory, right? So clear your terminal, and that's very simple. We just type clear. change your working directory to your home directory. Now, go home. I'm telling you, go home. And remember that the cd command, by default, if we pass nothing as an argument, will take us home. If you want to make sure you're home, you can always confirm with pwd. Now, change the working directory, right? cd into downloads. Now, if we go back here to our little picture, we're going to notice that downloads is relative to students. So it's a child of students. We don't need to start from the path because we are already home. So we can type cd dw. Notice that if I press tab twice, it tries to match two different directory names, documents and downloads, because both of these start with letters do. Notice that right after I press a W and I tap once, it auto-completes because only one word matches that criteria, which is the word downloads. We're gonna press enter, and now we are here in our downloads folder. Great. Go back 2 directories. Now, we are gonna go back here and then here. For that, we're gonna type cd. This will take us from downloads to a student. But we need to go back one more time to home. So we're gonna type another set of periods and then enter. Where are we now? Home, right where we predicted we were going to be. Now, where are you now? Simple. I'm in the home directory. Again, I'm in the home directory, not in my home directory, but in the home directory. Change the working directory to documents. Now, we are gonna do it from here. So if we type ls, we're gonna notice that the next directory, or the only directory we have there, is our username. So we're gonna type cd, my username, in this case it's gonna be your username, and then notice that if we double tab right there, it tells us what options we have. You can go inside cache, CIS 106, desktop, but where we wanna go is to documents, and that's one of the options over here, documents. So I'm gonna type doc and then tab. Press enter, and where are you now? You are inside the documents directory. So if you press pwd, it shows you the absolute path of your documents directory. So we went back from being here to being right over here as our working directory. Now we're gonna take a screenshot of my terminal. Make sure that I captured everything, so move it a little bit. And I'm gonna save this as question 1.2. Click on save, and that's it. Now, question number 2. Downloads this compressed archive. So just click on it, and you should download automatically. And then we are going to decompress it in our home directory, right? In your home directory. So we can simply open the compressed zip archive over here, open it with Archive Manager, and then we're gonna click on it, click on extract, click on home. Notice this is our home directory, and then click on extract. Close, close, and if you open a file manager, notice that you have a new folder here called lab4 files, which has a bunch of stuff over here that we are going to be using. In this command, we're going to practice the ls command. So the first thing that we're going to do is change your pwd to user share. So we're going to type cd user and then share. Where is this located? Well, this is located right over here. So root, user, and then share. This is where we're currently working at the moment. Press enter. And now, using absolute path, right? List all the files inside the lab4 files directory. So the first thing we're going to do is type the ls command, because that's going to list the files in the folder. But the question is telling me which folder you are required to list, and that would be the lab4 files folder. Now, remember in our little diagram over here that we decompress the file here inside our home directory. So we must start with the root if we want to reach here. At the moment we are in share, we need to get to here. So we're going to start with the root, then home, and then our username, and then the directory we want to reach. Since the directory is over here, and I'm already there. All I have to do is type lab4 files. So press enter, and these are all the files inside your lab4 files directory. Again, notice that I started at the root because this is an absolute path, and I follow the trail until I found the lab4 files. If you open a file manager, you will notice that when you open here, this is exactly where we are. Home, and then the lab4 files. Let's continue. Change your present working directory to lab4 files. So, since we already used that directory, right, we can use the history of the bash shell. So use the arrow key up to go back and see the previous command that you ran. And then we're going to edit this command. I am moving using the arrow keys. The mouse is not going to be useful in this scenario. And I'm going to delete the command that I type at the beginning, and I'm going to type cd. This will take me to lab4 files. Now we're going to do a long list. Now, this is where your reviewing the presentation comes into place. Because if you remember, one of the things that we can do is look at the options of the ls command. Now I'm going to open another terminal, and if I click on this little button over here of tilix, this is going to break my terminal into two, giving me a new terminal in the bottom and one terminal on the top. Now, if I type ls help, this is going to give me all the options of the ls command. Now, if you read through these options, you're going to find one option that is specific for long listing, and that would be L. So if you go for L here, it says minus lowercase l. Use a long listing format. So we're going to type ls minus l, and since we are already inside the lab4 files directory, we don't need to type anything else. Press enter, and this gives me a long list of the commands that I used. Since my terminal is full, it is a good idea to take a screenshot of the terminal now. So I'm going to take a screenshot of this, and I'm going to save it inside my lab4 directory. So this is going to be question 2.1, because it's the first part of the question, where I answer from 1 to 2. Now notice that not only they want a long list, but they also want human readable file sizes. So if you continue reading over here, you're going to notice that letter H, lowercase h, gives you exactly what we're looking for, human readable. So let's clear our terminal so that we have a clean canvas, and let's type ls, L for long listing, and H for human readable. Press enter, and notice the difference in the file sizes here. This here is very short and easy to read. A human can understand that this is 20 kilobytes. Now, notice the difference now. That you will have to do some math in your head to understand. Now we're going to clear that, and sorry. Enter. Again, I'm using the arrows keys up and down to move in my history of the command line. Next, long list all the files inside the lab4 files. Okay, now, we already know how to do a long list, so we're going to do ls minus l. But let's keep reading. With human readable file sizes, okay, we know that that is option H. And sorted by file size. So now they're asking for something else. They want us to sort this output by file size so that the largest file appears first and the smallest file appears last. Now, if you read through the options over here, and this is why having multiple terminals open is very useful, you're gonna notice that one of these options gives us exactly what we're looking for, right? I suggest you to read them slowly, one by one, but we're gonna go straight. And look at this, sort alphabetically. We don't want to sort alphabetically. So we don't want to list by lines. We don't want this either. So let's keep looking. So none of that is an option. Oh, let's see what S does. Sort by file size, largest file first. That's what they want me to do. And this is capital S. So we're gonna provide the capital S option over here and press enter. notice that the largest file is 2.5 megabytes and it appeared first. Now we're gonna take a little screenshot over here. Let me make my, there you go. And we're gonna call this question 2.2. Click on save. Next, long list all the files inside the lab 4 files. So we're gonna clear here, and we know that we're gonna do a LH. So, and we're gonna do an H because it's human readable, and we're gonna sort by file size. So again, capital S. But we are gonna exclude the user and the group name from the output. Okay, so now we can start looking over here for our options. And if you notice, capital G will show no group, and lowercase g will show group directories first, like L right here. G like L, but do not list the owner. So that's what we're looking for. Lowercase g for no owner, and then uppercase G for no group owner. Then we're gonna show the inode number. Now, if you keep scrolling over here, you're gonna find that option I is for including the inode number of a file. Later on in the course, we're gonna learn what an inode is. Press enter, and notice how there is a new field that appears over here in our output, and we still have sorting by the largest size, but more importantly, no group or owner information was provided right after the permissions over here. Now, list all the files in the lab 4 directories. Sort by file extension in reverse orders. Now, this is interesting because now they are not asking for a long list. So I know that I don't have to use the L, but I need to sort by file extension. And if you keep scrolling, right, you're gonna notice that option X over here will list alphabetically by extension. So we need uppercase X, and then we need to do it in reverse order, right? So we are gonna order alphabetically by extension, but whatever starts with a Z appears first, and whatever starts with A appears last, right? So what we're gonna look for is how do we reverse the output of the ls command. So if you, again, read the options, you're gonna find an -R option that is for reverse. So we do R and enter, and notice that sample XLS appear first and globe.avi appears last, reverting the sorting of alphabetical order. Let's take a screenshot of our question. I'm going to call this question 2.3. Finally, we're at question number 3. Now, the 3 and the EXA commands are not installed by default. If you are running Ubuntu 22.04 or any distribution based on 22.04, you can install them using apt install. If you don't have Ubuntu 22.04, if you're using an earlier version, and I know that at least one of you is, you will need to install EXA using this little script over here that I hosted inside our CIS 106 folder. But because most of you are using 22.04, I am gonna do that command in my computer. First, I'm gonna clear my terminal, right? And then I'm gonna go home. Let's clear again. So we have a clean canvas over here. I'm gonna do the same thing with my second terminal. And I'm gonna do sudo apt install exa and 3. Okie dokie, my programs are already installed and ready to use. Now, the first thing that we need to do is, so using absolute path and having EXA as your present working directory, display a tree of the lab 4 directories. Okie dokie. So this is a loaded question, so we have a little bit more to work with over here. First, let's take a look at what EXA is. So we're gonna type man EXA. The EXA command is a modern replacement for ls. Feel free to read this command, this manual page if you like, but what we need to know is this over here. So we know that EXA works just like ls. So we have options that we can use to manipulate the output of the EXA command, or EXE, or EXA. So we're gonna press Q to exit the man page, and now we're gonna do EXA help. This is gonna open all the options of the EXA command, which is what we're gonna need to complete this part over here. So using absolute path, okay, keep that in mind, and having Etsy as your PWD. So the first thing we need to do is go to Etsy. So we're gonna type cd Etsy. We are in Etsy. Display a tree of the lab4 directories. No. To display a tree of any directory, all we have to do is, this is the tree command. My apologies. What we need to do here is read the man page of tree list contents of directories in a tree-like format, right? Press Q to exit, and then we're gonna do tree help. This is what we need here. So these are all the options of the tree command, and that's what we're gonna keep open over there for reference. So tree, that's the command we're going to use. And now we need to reach our lab4 files. Remember, at the moment we are inside Etsy. We are here. We need to go here. So we're gonna start at the root, right? From here, we go to root, then we type home, then we go to our home directory, and after we're there, we type lab4 files. Now, wouldn't it be nice if there was a shorter way to do this? Well, there is. We can replace this part over here with a shorthand. That shorthand is called a squiggly line or tilde character. Now, this here replaces your home directory. So anytime you want to reach any file inside your home directory, to avoid typing root, home, and then your home directory, you can simply type the tilde character, and that will do the trick. So if you press enter, notice that this part over here was this, and now we have a tree-like format for listing our directories. Isn't tree a very pretty command? Change your PWD to your downloads for directory. So we're gonna do cd, again, tilde, downloads, because hey, if it's shorter and faster, we go with the shorter and faster version. Now, we're gonna display a tree of the lab4 directory. So let's do this part first, right? So we're gonna do tree. Now, we are inside downloads, right? We are here, but the folder that we want is relative to these guys over here. So that means that we need to go back one step, and then we'll be able to access the lab4 directories, right? So let's do it graphically real quick, right? So imagine you are over here, but the folder that you need to reach is this folder over here. Graphically, you will do exactly what I just did. You will go back and then open the folder and work there. So how do we do that in the command line? Well, notice the path over here on top. We go back once, just like we did when we pressed the back arrow key. And now we are in this folder here. So we can access lab4 files. Okay. However, this question is compound. This question is asking us to modify the output. The first modification that we will do is show a full path prefix for each file. And now we go to our cheat sheet over here. So full path prefix. Now, what do that mean? Let's take a look at all the options over here. Print the full path prefix for each file. So we're talking about option F. So we're gonna provide option F. Now, the file permissions, okay, file permissions, oh wow, what, list directories, no, stay in current directory, descend, return, list those, no, do not list, no, ignore, print metadata, print information, no, print non-printable characters, file names, the size, inodes, sorting options, graphical options, input options, miscellaneous. We missed it. Let's go back. Now, let's review the listing options one more time. So A, list everything. D, gives me only the folders. L, does symbolic links like directories. F, gives me the full path. X stays in the current directory. L descends only one level deep. R returns the tree max level reach. P lists only those files matched by a particular pattern. I doesn't print the files that match a given pattern. Okay, so git ignore gits ignore files, ignore case, includes directory names, prints metadata at the beginning of each file, prints information about the files, returns file directory, use character set, do not descend, output the file instead of standard output, non-printable characters, prints them with quotes, print the protections. See, protection, permission, that sounds similar. Why don't we take a look at P? Let's see. Now, human readable file size. Now, that's the next thing. We need human readable file size, and we found it right over here. So this is option H. So we're gonna do H. Now press enter, and let's analyze the output. So we get the permissions. Good. We get the full path. Good. That's what we were looking for. And we have file size in human readable format. Great. Let's take a screenshot of this. So let's move our terminal a little bit up so that we can see, we can show both commands that we ran. This will be question 3.1. Click on save. Next. Display a tree of the lab 4 files directory sorted by last modified time and showing the file owner and group. Okay, we're gonna do the same thing. Let's clear our terminal and we're gonna do tree. Again, we're gonna go back one directory, lab 4 files, and then here we are going to look for our options. So last modified. So let's take a look. These are the sorting options, alphanumerically, last modification time. So we're gonna do option T. Then file owner and group. So we need to show the file owner and group. So file owner and group. Let's see. Okay, this here displays the file owner. Displays file group owner or GID number. So this is G here for the group owner. There you go. So U and G. So we're gonna do U and G. Press enter, and now we got owner, group owner, and the file. Exactly what we wanted. And printed by last and sorted by last modified as we provided the option key over here. Okay, now once you have installed the EXA command, list all the options of the EXA command. So we can do this by typing EXA and then help. Now let's go a little bit up. Let's take a screenshot of our terminal over here. And we're gonna do question 3.1, 3.2. And I think I made a mistake with my keyboard. Oh, nope. We just have to rename this guy. I believe this is fine. Nope, this is not fine. So let's take another screenshot. That mistake was on me. Question 3.2.png. Save. Okay, our screenshot has been saved. We're gonna move along with EXA. Now, we're gonna repeat the same process. We're gonna clear our terminal here. We're gonna clear our terminal here, and we are gonna get the man help of EXA. EXA. Help. So these are all the options for EXA, and that's great. Using EXA, long list all the files in the lab 4 files directory. So we're gonna type EXA EXA. Now the options that we are going to use here are for long listing, so we're going to do letter L, and that's all we have to do. Notice the long list, and one of the beautiful things about EXA is this color coding over here that helps us look at the permissions. That's actually pretty nice. I like those little colors. Next, we're going to long list again, but we're going to show a header that indicates what column means. It tells us what each and every one of these columns mean. So again, EXA, lab 4. And by the way, if whenever you're doing any of my assignments, if you want to use EXA over LS, I'm okay with that. So let's take a look. So long view options, list file size in binary, list each file group, add a header row to each column. Again, that's what we're looking for, titles over here, header rows. So that's gonna be H. And notice that a little header over here has been added. Permissions, size, user, modify time, and the name of the file. Let's take a screenshot of our terminal one more time. And again, if you use a bigger terminal, you can probably avoid taking as many screenshots as I did. Question 4, is this question? Yeah, this is still question 3.3. Save. Okay, now the last question here is long list lab 4 files, okay, without file owner, no group, and including the header, and the date the file was created. Okay, so now we need to do a little bit of reading. So we know we're gonna do a long listing, so we're gonna keep it. And we know we're gonna include a header, so we're gonna keep it. So now we need to exclude the group or the file owner. So how do we do that? So let's take a look. Suppresses the permission field, that's not what they're asking us. Suppresses the file size, that's not what they're asking us. Suppress the user field, okay, so that's what we want. So no user, we want that. And then without the file owner, no group, including the header and the date the file was created. Okay, so we need the creation time. So creation time right here. So that would be capital U. Press enter, and now we have creation time and the rest. And notice that from the output we no longer have the user, nor we have the date that the file was modified. We have the date the file was created. Now, with that said, let's take a screenshot of our terminal over here. And this is gonna be question 3.4. Click on save. And now the challenge question. Do this on your own. Try with the knowledge that you obtain in this lab to complete all of these questions. Each and every one of them is worth 2 points, so complete as many as you can, and that's about it. Now we are going to, once you complete this over here, make sure you take a screenshots as you complete them, because that's how I'm gonna know that you did the work, by, you know, the screenshots that you take. So we're gonna go over here, we can close the terminals because we don't need them, and we're gonna open VS Code, just like we do with all the other labs. We're gonna click on File, Open Folder, we're gonna open our repository, CIS 10622, click on Open. Then right over here, we're gonna go in lab number 4, we're gonna create a file called lab4.md. And then here we start with our font matter. We go name, your name, then semester, fall 22, and then we go with course, CIS 106, Linux fundamentals, and finally we provide over here our title, which is lab 4 submission. Then we start with question 1, question 2, question 3, question 4, right? Challenge question. So let's okie dokie. So again, question 1, then this will be q1.png. Okay, and I'm gonna copy this because I know I have multiple pictures for question 1, and this will be question. Let me copy this part instead to make my life easy. Question 1.2. And do I have anything else for question 1? Nope. I only took 2 screenshots for question 1. Now we're gonna do this for question 2. I'm gonna call this Q2. Q2.1. Q2.2. Q2.3. And that's it. So we're gonna do now question 3. Let's fix this guy. Q3.1. Point 2. Point 4, and that's about it. These are all the screenshots that I took from question 1 to question 3, right? Now, here you're gonna put the screenshots of question 4 that you were able to complete. If you complete them all, then congratulations, you get all the points. If no, then you get the points that you get. If you want me to complete question 4 during class time, I can do so with no problem. We're gonna save this file once you complete putting all your pictures, and we're going to do a little preview to make sure all our pictures are there. And yep, they are all over there, pretty organized. Now we're gonna do a commit. So again, git pull, make sure our files in our computer and GitHub are in sync. Git lab4 complete. And then git push. I forgot to convert my file to PDF, so we have to do another push. Okay, and I gave you a little command over here that you can copy to make your life easier, and just paste over here, just enter, and that's it. Now, what are you gonna give me? The URL to this file in GitHub, right? URL to this file in GitHub, and this file over here, the lab4.pdf file. That's all I need. I don't need anything else. The URL to lab4 in GitHub, and then your lab4.pdf file in Blackboard. With that said, I'll see you next class.